So let's talk about our first two. Come on up, Jeff and Courtney. These are a great example of members because, as they will take you through, they've done single-family houses, they've done passive investing, and they've done now leads on 2 deals. The only thing you haven't done is an IRO, right?
Right.
Well, when you retire, you can become IROs then. And I will let you two take over.
Who are you?
We're Jeff and Courtney Gorley, and we joined Lifestyles in May of 2015. We're parents to 3 boys, 9, 11, and 13 years old. When we joined, they were like a newborn, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old. So, we jumped in with little ones. And Jeff's a program manager. He's a mechanical engineer and has an MBA. And I have an interior design degree. And before we did real estate, I did high-end residential design. And I've already talked about when we joined. So we started out buying single family, and we just kept buying and buying and buying. We got up to 14 single family, and we had to refocus because so many deals just kept falling in our lap, and they just were easy at that point, like they were talking earlier. Once you get going, you just want to buy another one. So we refocused and decided to do a passive investment, and then after that passive investment, we did our first lead deal, and then the property that we're going to talk about today is our second lead deal. So our passive investment already sold. It was a 264 unit, and then our first lead deal was a 12 unit, and we sold that in July of 2022, and we sold that to another Lifestyles member. And Jeff and I are both IROP certified. I'm also CAM certified, and I've just signed up to get my CALP. So
right.
We'll see. I'll get that certification as well.
That's apartment jargon?
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, those are from the National Apartment Association.
So CAM is Certified Apartment Manager, and CAPS is Certified Apartment Property Supervisor.
What's
Yes.
CALP?
CALP is Certified Apartment Leasing Professional, and then IROP is Independent Rental Owner Professional.
Alphabet soup.
Taking notes?
All right, why'd you join Lifestyles?
To get our time back. At the time, I was working, and she was a stay-at-home mom, so we wanted a way to get out of that situation eventually and lead to an early retirement. I remember looking at doing a big spreadsheet and looking at investing in the stock market at an annual return of 5 to 7 or something, and work until I'm 60 to get a good retirement. And I didn't really think that was a very good plan. So,
Anybody else in this boat? Yeah? All right. All right, on to Vista del Sol.
So this is Vista del Sol. It's 60 units, built in 1976. It's down in Victoria. So we purchased it in May of 2022 for $4.725 million. Cash out of pocket, 2.15. Initial financing, we got a really good loan on this for $3.3 million at 3.5%, fixed for 5 years. That is a bank loan, actually. And it is non-recourse, which is really great for
That's fantastic.
Bank loan.
You'll get into recourse versus non-recourse this weekend?
A little bit. We'll touch on it.
All right.
Don't have to worry about that.
Good.
But half the people in here just glazed over when you said 2.1 million. Because you came up with that out of your own pocket when you sold all 14 houses, right? Just you, right?
No.
No. So you got some investors with you.
Yes.
How many
yeah.
investors do you think you have?
So we have 28 investors plus ourselves.
And so let's talk about what makes up the $2 million there. What's your lowest dollar amount that invested?
$25,000.
Okay? So it's bringing it down to where a lot of people can handle it.
Yeah.
Good.
Are they all Texans?
No. No, we have a few from New Mexico, a couple in Arizona.
I need you to look at that blue dot out there and make sure they hear you, okay?
Okay. Yeah, they're not all in Texas. So we have some in Arizona, some in New Mexico. I think that's it.
Texas.
Yeah?
Texas.
Everybody else
A
is
bunch
here?
of Texas.
All right. And I don't think we touched on the rehab budget, but you got a little over 400,000.
Yeah, a little over
Rehab.
400,000.
Okay, cool. All right, so now we're talking about kind of where this is today, right? And these are annualized numbers that we're looking at?
Yes, this is
Okay.
annualized. So annualized income, $765,000. Now expenses, $385,000. The monthly cash flow there is $13 almost 14,000, an NOI of 380,000. So annualized, that's cash on cash return of 7.8%. We have distributed 60K since we acquired it. We had a pretty rough first year, which you'll see on a later slide here. So when we bought this property, and the reason we got a bank loan is every resident was on a month-to-month lease. So that's like a big red flag for lenders, because when you buy a property, every resident on a month-to-month lease, you can have a bunch of them move out. We did have about 10 residents move out like a month and a half after we purchased.
It's a little scary, right? 15% turnover in a short period of time.
Yeah.
But yeah, as they're saying, when I see month to month across the board, it means there's a really lackadaisical manager, owner out there that is probably not raising rents. They don't want anybody to leave. They're worried about, what if I have a vacant unit? I might have to paint it and turn it over. They don't want to do anything, and they're not doing a very good job at it. So yeah, it's an excellent opportunity.
There were residents at like $500 a month that we moved to over in, $975.
When I bought my property January 8th of 2008, the one bedrooms rented for $485. That was a long time ago, not 2 years ago. We had a little bit of inflation since then. All right, and current net worth, you've got 5.86, and the purchase price was what, about 4.7?
Yes.
Okay, so we've got some gains going there, before and afters.
So this property was not renovated. You can tell a man picked those paint colors. They're awful. And so that before and after, like I said, I have an interior design degree. So my favorite part is transforming the property. So that's just paint. We didn't have to do much other than paint on the exterior. We did some lighting, but paint does a world of difference.
And instead of agreeable gray, you went with restoration hardware gray.
I don't know those colors off my head. Iron ore and so this is another photo of this is our one bedrooms, and you can see the turquoise doors.
A little bit of pop there.
A little bit of pop.
Like a designer knew what she was doing.
Yes. And this is the interior, so we were able to just resurface the counters, put new hardware on, paint, new appliances, get new floors. So. And then lightly stage the apartment so it looks nicer in the pictures.
Yeah, the previous owner was pretty proud of the white flooring that looked like the stuff that used to be in Walmart that they don't even use in Walmart anymore, and you could just take the buffer in there and buff it out.
Yeah, the glue down VCT tiles, yes. And same, here's the bathroom. Really important to get bright light fixtures in the units, makes it very opening and bright and welcoming and helps show the unit much better. And this is a picture of the bedroom. As you can tell, the before looked like a jail cell, and after is much more inviting. I'd rather sleep in the after. And then this is our office. It was cluttered with old, broken furniture and like just leftover stuff that were left in units. They would just put it in the office. It looked awful. So I was able to keep some of the stuff and then get new furniture, and then we're still working on the office, but as you'll see in a minute, we've actually renovated 48 out of the 60 units, and so we've been spending our time focused on renovating the interiors of the units, which makes us money, rather than focusing on getting the office turned yet, but I've done what I can without the contractors coming into the office and tearing it all up.
It does have that lofty look with the AC going on there, though. Yeah, that's nice. Okay, so now we're breaking things down a little bit and how we progress from year 1 to year 3.
Yeah, so year 1, income $550,000, and year 2, significant increase there. Similar operating expenses.
Look at that number from year 1 to year 2. They had all those month to months at $500. They got a 50% income increase there in 1 year.
And one of my strategies, and we did this on our 12-unit apartment, is whenever I got people on long-term leases, I told them, hey, you can stay in your unit at this rent, or you can go to a new renovated unit, transfer, and go to this rent, market rent. And a lot of people they want to live in the newer renovated units. So I got a lot of people moving over to the renovated units, and then I got that unit back, renovated that, marked those rents up to market.
I saw that happen, and I was really surprised that people paying $485 would see what we were doing next door, and it was like $685 or whatever, I don't remember. And I thought, there's no way. But they would come in, and we would hit them with that rent, and they go, well, I'm not paying that for what I'm living in. but I'll pay that to move next door. And I was stunned at the time. So that's great. All right, expenses roughly the same across all 3 years, but our net operating income, again, huge growth. So while we had a 50% growth in income, we more than doubled net operating income. That's huge in year 2. And the mortgage, what's going on? Oh, your CapEx is what's driving that first column up because you had a lot of rehab going on to get all these units up to what we saw in the pictures. So a lot of spending in the first year that was planned and budgeted. Negative net cash flow. This is a turnaround project. We have 2 basic categories. We call them yield and value add. This is a value add. You can get into the details on that over the weekend. And sometimes you got to go backwards in order to go forward. And that's exactly what they did here.
Yeah, that's very, very common in the first year on a property that's got some significant rehab, and we had to go through every unit because everybody was on a month-to-month lease. We didn't want to approach all those residents at one time, right? So every month we had like six or 8 units we were converting from month to month to the long-term leases.
So it's a 12-month cycle roughly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And with that, we implemented a utility package as well when we were converting them all.
Awesome. And then finally, that bottom line, there's cash on cash return. That's what they're distributing to their investors. So there was nothing the first year while they were doing all the heavy lifting. But then they had 5% in year 2. They're looking at 8.6%. And as they showed on a previous slide, based on what they've done so far, they're averaging 7.8. So they're really overachieving and it's still trending up. That's awesome. Any questions so far? All right. Oh.
The operating expenses, I see it went from year 1 to year 2, and the expenses seem to go down. But just have a quick question on this property taxes, insurances. How are you able to handle that, and how do you keep it down?
So there's a lot of things going into operating expenses there that he's asking about. It is interesting that they went down $10,000. Was there some water conservation going on?
Well,
Yes, we've done that. We've also replaced quite a few of the ACs in the first year. And
also the utility package,
yeah, the utility package was a big change in the way we were doing the previous owner had not had the residents pay anything towards
Gas.
the water expense and gas. They were funding it all. So that was part of the offset there.
Okay. And what about, he specifically asked about property taxes or insurance? Anything interesting to talk about there that happened?
Our insurance did go up, not as much as some other locations have. Victoria is just out of the tier 1, it's tier 2.
Yeah.
Or at least this property is. Some of Victoria, I think, is in tier 1.
So kind of the highlight of what he's talking about is in the last year or two, if you're on Galveston Island, you've had some pretty hard times with your insurance increase. Some of you that might live down that way know what I'm talking about. I've had it on my house that I live in. But they grade them tier 1, tier 2, and I don't know what the tiers go up to, but they're out of tier 1, so they're not considered a coastal county. They haven't had nearly the problems that, some of the things that you might be thinking about have had. That's a good question because we talk about this a lot. The last hurricane we had was Harvey. And Harvey, windstorm, really didn't do that much damage. It flooded everybody. And flood is not covered by most of our insurance. You have to buy a separate flood policy. So when we go and complain and say, wait a minute, what's happening? They talk, well, you got to pay your share of the fires happening in California and the hurricanes hitting Florida. We can't bill them for all of that. We got to spread it around. So it's politics when you're trying to find out what they're really doing and why they're raising your rates. All right. How'd you increase that NOI so much? Oh,
We're going to hold questions to the very end.
Oh.
All right.
all right.
So we did move all of the month-to-month leases to long-term leases. We also painted the exterior, modernized the property. We've renovated 49 out of 60. I missed one. We've also increased the rents on all units, even those units that were in classic status. Those also got raised several $100s. And like we said, we added the utility package. So now that includes electricity, water, gas, trash, pest control, and a lot of prospects and residents really appreciate that because they have a standard price every single month that they know that they can, they don't have variable pricing every month. So it's a good selling point as well. We've also enforced the lease and community policies. Jeff mentioned we replaced the older HVAC units, and we've fixed leaks and water conservation, done that project on the property. And one other large thing we've done is improve the marketing and online presence, like we have Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, like we've really gotten ourselves online. Before, they did not have any marketing, nothing was, no online presence. The manager was not trained how to really do anything, but she's still there today. We have kept her on. I've trained her and always training her more. That's why I'm getting my CALP so I can help train her more on the leasing. And then we've also added barbecue grills and picnic tables, and we're going to be putting in a small dog park as well in the, around the corner. We also have a lot behind this property. We don't have anything on it, but we do own the lot behind us, so it's a very large lot. And
It's like
then,
a large dog park.
could put a basketball court? No, not basketball. And then we also created a community that the residents are proud to call home. We actually have quite a few family members that then refer their aunt to live there, and then their sister comes and lives there, so it's like a big community. So they really do enjoy it there.
Yeah, and that's great when you can get resident referrals, so they have friends and family there, because people don't move a whole lot when everybody they know lives right around them, right? So it's a great situation you're in. All right. A little bit more on the number side.
So this goes back to like the purchase price, NOI, looking at 294K at the time. Year one, it dropped as we showed earlier. Year two, the NOI comes back up, and we started paying off debt on the mortgage in year two as well.
So they had interest only at the beginning of the loan, and that $58,000 under debt payoff and the $62,000 in year three. Now they're paying the principal down. So it's part of total return, it's just not cash on cash.
Yeah.
Okay? And then the property valuations that you have there, you're having them valued by people that sell these things each year to kind of determine that, or you're just putting a cap rate on it?
I put a cap rate on
Okay.
it. I actually increased the cap rate a little bit because we're seeing that going on from where we bought it. We bought it at about a 6.2 cap. I think the year three here is at a 6.5 cap.
Okay.
So
It's conservative. That's good. All right, and then the cash-on-cash distributions we talked about before. You didn't have any in the first year.
yeah.
Second year, you're trending at 90,000 now, and you think you're going to 150 next year. Wow, that's huge. That's awesome. Total cash and equity capture. So this, again, is combining the value increase, the principal pay down, and what they distributed to their investors. And they're talking about exceeding $1 million and $1.5 million in years 2 and 3 there. Pretty spectacular. What do you think? Yeah. So cumulative, 3 years in the yellow at the bottom there, we're talking about $1.16 million on an investment of $2.15 million, so over 50%, 83.7% return on an original investment, including all of those sources that you add up for total return. Pretty nice, eh? Yeah. All right. How's your life changed?
We now have a clear path to early retirement, and we were able to buy our dream home about 2 years ago.
All right. What do we do now?
Short term, we want. All of this was about spending a little more time with our kids while they're still young. I want to move to full time. I still work part time. I enjoy it somewhat, and it helps pay the bills. So, and continue to improve our processes in our 60-unit multifamily. We've spent a lot of time in the last few months really learning about some of the better practices for running properties as we start looking for another one. You want to cover long term?
Yeah, long-term goals, we want to travel more with our family to new places and expand our lead deals to another property for sure, maybe up to 4 properties, and then continue to invest passively so we can have that time with our family.
Awesome. All right, and then helping you out, you had Lee and Curtis on the front end. Randa, of course, as we introduced before. You used Lifestyles Realty person on this deal?
Diana, right back there.
There she is in the back of the room.
We actually sold our first one as well.
She did.
And then, have y'all talked about the vendor network at all?
Yeah.
Okay,
There
so,
are like 60 of them here tonight, too.
okay, great.
They're still here, but there's a bunch.
So we had some people out of the vendor program involved in this deal as well. All right,
Anybody want to give a shout out to off that list?
Oh, lots of them.
Besides Diane? All of them?
Yeah, they're all great.
So National Tenant Network, Mike, he's great. So we use him for our single family, and we continue to use him for our multifamily. If I ever have a question on screening a resident or prospect, I can just give him an email or a call, and he is very quick to answer and helpful. Ted W. Allen and Associates, he is wonderful. Keith, he actually responds to your emails and your calls, and he will follow up with you, unlike some other insurance people.
that's insurance, yeah.
Yes,
that's insurance.
Swifty, that is who does our website. His name is John. He's out of the Dallas area. They do a great job with that. And SB Tax, that's our tax consultant, Shahina.
Fantastic.
She's wonderful, and she knows all the ins and outs of how to deal with real estate. If you own real estate, you should use a tax professional who understands real estate. And then Dotson Legal is our attorney.
Yeah, they do all the SEC filing stuff for the syndication, and they review the real estate documents as well for the closing. So they do both sides of it. And
All right.
Lee and Randa were great. They actually came down to the property and did unit walks with us and lease file audits.
All right, thank you very much. All right, now let's come back to your question that you had in the back, or did we answer it?
I was wondering if there was an exit strategy to the investment.
He's got a microphone for you.
Okay, so let's talk about the exit strategy. How long did you think you were going to be in this? Did you tell the passives they were investing, and where are we in the process?
We told the passives we were going to be holding it for 3 to 5 years. And our loan has a 3-2-1 prepay penalty on it, so we'll be out of that at the end of year 3. And now it's really dependent on the market. So our interest rate is fixed for 5 years, so we have a 2-year window really.
So what that step down does for those of you who we kind of talked past on that, the first year, the bank doesn't want their money back in 1 year, so they charge you 3% of the loan amount to get out. Second year, it's 2, third year, it's 1, and then there's no prepayment penalty from there. So they've already almost worked that down. They're in year 3 now.
Question online. How many hours a week do you spend on this property?
Typically, I mean, as the lead, you do end up working in the business some. I typically go down there at least once every other week, and Courtney talks to the manager
Daily.
probably daily, yeah.
Now, let's talk about when you first got in and you had all that going on. How long were you there?
We were there several days a week.
Yes. When you first buy a property, single family or multifamily, if it has a big lift, it's like drinking water out of a fire hose. But it does slow down, and once everything is good, then it's not bad. But, as a lead, this is our job, is to work on the business, always improve processes. And so I would say I probably work about 5 hours a day on the property, or like working on the property. And
But you're working remotely.
I'm working remotely. I work from home, and so I deal with the operations side, and so my stuff can be done remotely. Whenever we were doing a lot of renovations, I would be on site. We would go weekly, and since it's a 2.5-hour drive each way, we put a schedule together, and this is what we're going to accomplish while we're there, because we can't go there every single day. So we make the best of our time while we're there. And then Jeff deals with maintenance and all the other stuff and financial stuff. As you can tell, he's reading all the financials because that's where his side. We're a great team, so we have our roles within this business.
Over here. How did you find the property?
We had looked at several properties with Diana before this one, and it came across, and she presented it to us.
So Lifestyles Realty found the
Yeah,
property.
Lifestyle Realty. I was on the phone with 2 different LU realtors today about other deals. So.
Anything else?
Yeah, how hard or easy was it to secure a loan? What kind of financial background did you need to maintain?
So on this property, we do have what's called a key principal, which is somebody that helps you qualify for the loan. It was a little challenging because of because all of the leases were month to month, so that made it a little more challenging to find a lender. It did take us a little while. It was a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, so we have, in the vendor program, they didn't have one listed on here, but we do have lenders and loan brokers that are on there. Usually when you come, one of the first things I'm going to tell you to do is go talk to one of them if you want to be an independent owner or a lead, and let's find out what your financial situation looks like and what kind of loan you can qualify for. That will help us figure out what size product you're looking for, so when you're talking to realtors, you can tell them, I'm pre-qualified for 30 units, 40 units, whatever the case may be. Or, like they did on your second deal now, they went and found a key principal to help them secure a bigger loan. Sometimes that's important, so we can take you through all that. What else?
How much did y'all invest?
How much did you invest is the question.
$215,000.
So they're about 10%
Yeah.
of the capital stack there.
Yeah, LU has a standard for lead investors.
So depending on what number deal you're on as a lead, initially we make you put in a higher percentage. As you prove yourself and you get into bigger deals, it's kind of hard to put in 15%. If you're buying a deal that's $10 million raise, and you'd have to put in $1.5 million. So we do have that slide is a sliding scale, the more experience you have.
Yeah, I was wondering, since you facilitated the transaction and you were the lead of it, if you get a larger portion of it as well.
So similar to what I was talking about with the down payment, there's a sliding scale for that as well based on experience. And what he's talking about is what we call profit sharing, basically. So yes.
Any other questions in the room? One more, right there. Hold on, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh,
There you go,
sorry.
there's your microphone.
Yeah, can you just mention the white paper? Because that's big for me. I've invested in other deals outside of Lifestyles, and there was no white paper. And that's why I came back to Lifestyles.
So let me tell you about the history of the white paper since you brought it up. We have a document called the white paper. And what happened a long, long time ago, I joined in 2006, and it was before my time. We had somebody that was going a little rogue and not following the rules. So as a group, we wrote a paper that we called the white paper, and it put rules in place that the leads need to follow to keep them on the straight and narrow and within the boundaries. And that's on like version number 20 now, 20 years later. So we update it from time to time, but the leads are required to adhere to the white paper, and we have something called a code of conduct that they also need to sign in order to be qualified to do what they're doing. Keeps everybody honest, and just make sure that everybody, that if you're investing with them, you know what they're supposed to be doing, and they know what they're supposed to be doing. So if anybody's stepping out of bounds, we can say, hey, maybe we need to take a look at this. And we know where the boundaries are. It includes everything from reporting structures that he's talking about, what we need to do, how often we need to do it, meetings. God, I can't even think. It's gotten so deep.
Compensation, capital contribution.
All the sliding scales that I'm talking about for how much they put in, the profit sharing sliding scale, all of that's in there for you.
Now, are you a pig? Yes. All right, you've got mentors, so you're going to pull him off to the side because he can just talk your ear off for 4 hours. All right?
Oh, I know the white paper.
You know the white paper? Good, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's there to protect the passives. It's there to protect the leads. It's there to keep the group together. That's why we've been
a rule
successful
book.
for 34 years.
Yeah.
All right.
All right.
Well, I get the last question. What would you tell the new folks in the room? You sat in this room, this very room, right? Do you remember which seats? No? Most people remember. You sat here 10 years ago or so, is that right?
Yeah, I remember.
You remember?
Because I called her and she told me not to join. So.
We came separately.
I did it anyway, so.
Our friend Juan introduced Jeff to Lifestyles, and he called me from the workshop, something. Maybe it was a case study. I'm not sure. But he said, hey, we're going to join this thing. This is how much. And I was like, no, absolutely not. That's a scam. We're not doing that. And then he came home, and he was like, so I joined Lifestyles today. And I was like, what? But I'm so glad he didn't listen to me, because we would not be here today if we weren't.
That story can be repeated so many times inside this room, including me.
What do you tell the new folks in the room then?
Well, if you haven't joined, you should join and jump in. The single-family side's amazing right now, it looks like. And multifamily is at a turning point that's going to be real interesting for a long time.
And I would tell people to jump in and join. And Lifestyles is like a family. Everyone is so welcoming here, and they're willing to share and be helpful. And so you're not alone. So just come and meet other people, discuss the whole process, and just jump in. It's kind of scary at first, but you learn it, and it gets easier.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much.
Yes.